The world respects the calm and ruthless master, your mindset or be ruled.
The world doesn't honor the loud. It doesn't bow to the reckless. It doesn't reward those who cry out for attention or validation. It kneels quietly, unconsciously, unavoidably to those who walk in calm and strike with precision. Because power isn't noise, it's control, it's presence. It's the man who says little, but when he moves, the world feels it. The world respects the calm and the ruthless. Not ruthless in cruelty, but ruthless in focus. Ruthless in discipline. Ruthless in the pursuit of purpose, without distraction, without delay, without apology. You know why calm matters because calm is proof you've mastered yourself. Calm says, you don't shake me, you don't move me. I choose when to engage. And when I do, it is final. The calm man walks into the room and without saying a word, every insecure man feels exposed. Not because he postures, but because his very stillness reminds them of what they lack. In a world addicted to reaction, the one who is composed becomes a god. Because when you are calm, you are not governed by impulse. You don't flinch, you don't beg, you calculate. And that is terrifying to people who've never had control of their own emotions. But understand this calm alone isn't enough. The world will test you. And when it does, you must be capable of fire. You must be ready to act with precision and speed. To strike not out of rage, but out of purpose. That's where ruthlessness comes in. Ruthlessness is not cruelty. It is the elimination of everything that does not serve your mission. It is saying no, not out of arrogance, but because your standards are sacred. It is moving forward when others hesitate, not because you feel no fear, but because you've learned to respect it and move anyway. The greats, they all had it. Carnegie didn't build an empire by reacting emotionally. He built it through cold, exacting vision. Ford didn't change the world because he wanted to be liked. He did it because he saw what others didn't, and he never waited for permission. They were calm in storms, ruthless with time, and surgical with action. You want to change your life? Then kill the part of you that explains. Kill the part that waits to be understood. Kill the part that wants everyone to feel comfortable. Because comfort is the enemy of greatness. And understanding, that's for people who still doubt themselves. You don't need them to get it. You need to build it. And building begins with the mindset. You cannot become something great if your thoughts are still small. You cannot build with power if your foundation is doubt, fear, and emotional instability. You have to rewire the way you respond to life. You have to see chaos and breathe slower. See judgment and stand taller. See resistance and lean into it, because you know the resistance is the path. This is the first law of power. The man who is in control of himself controls everything else. While others panic, he plans. While others react, he observes. While others crumble under pressure, he gets clearer. And that clarity, that's what turns a man into a weapon. You see, there's a reason the old masters, the warriors, the kings, they were feared without lifting a sword. Because true power doesn't need to prove itself. It simply is. Calm is your armor. Ruthlessness is your blade. Calm is how you walk through fire without breaking pace. Ruthlessness is how you remove everything that doesn't belong in your kingdom. But none of it matters if you don't believe it yet. Belief isn't just thinking positive. It's burning every bridge back to who you used to be. It's standing in front of your excuses, looking them dead in the eye and saying, you don't live here anymore. It's knowing, not hoping, that you were meant for more. And belief grows stronger in silence. Not when you're hyped, not when the music's loud, not when the room is full. Belief is forged in the lonely hours, when it's just you, and the decision to either keep going or fold. And the ruthless man, he keeps going. Not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because it must be done. You think the world cares how you feel today? It doesn't. It cares what you produce, what you execute, what you deliver under pressure. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is a flame. It flickers, it fades. But discipline is the furnace beneath a quiet empire. It's the thing that burns when everything else goes dark. You wake up tired, you move anyway. You get insulted, you stay composed. You lose, you learn, you adapt, you sharpen. but you do not stop. The calm and ruthless don't stop. They may bend, they may bleed, but they don't break. And over time, the world begins to notice. Not because you demanded attention, but because your results are undeniable. Your presence becomes your marketing. Your energy becomes your introduction. Your standards become your reputation. And suddenly, the world begins to respect you, not out of kindness, not out of affection, but out of recognition of power, of force, of a man who cannot be moved. So the next time life throws noise at you, the next time someone doubts you, mocks you, underestimates, you stay calm. Because they have no idea who they're standing in front of. Not yet, but they will. They will know you not by your words, but by the absence of weakness in your movement, by the sharpness in your eyes, by the fact that you do not flinch. Because here's the secret: when you are calm and ruthless, you no longer need to be intimidating. Your presence does the work. People sense it. They feel it. The weight of your discipline makes others shrink without a sound being spoken. That's the power you cultivate when you master yourself. You move through life like a sharpened blade, covered in silence, dipped in control. But it doesn't start with domination. It starts with clarity. Most men walk around fogged. They don't know what they want, so they drift. They dabble. They delay. They get excited for a weak fall, off start again, and call it growth. That is not growth. That is chaos disguised as motion. You want to walk like a king, then know where you're going. See it. Own it. Declare it, even if only to yourself. Because a clear mind is a calm mind, and a clear mission makes ruthlessness righteous. When you know what you're here to build, you stop entertaining what doesn't belong. You stop negotiating with people who don't respect your path. You stop diluting your energy to fit into places you've outgrown. You become surgical. You cut out the unnecessary, not emotionally but efficiently. No resentment, no explanation, just gone. And that's what makes you dangerous. You stop playing checkers with people who don't even know you're playing chess. You smile while moving pieces they'll never see coming. You let them talk. Let them underestimate you, because while they're flexing, you're building. Let them crave attention. You crave control. Let them chase status. You chase silence. Let them scroll. You sharpen. You want to be respected in this world. Out-discipline them. Outlast them. Outgrow them. Not with noise, with results. Because there is no rebuttal for results. No comeback for consistency. No answer for a man who keeps showing up unshaken, unfazed, untouched. But to get there, you have to be willing to destroy the parts of you that still want to be liked. You have to be willing to walk away from applause, from comfort, from validation, so you can walk toward your highest standard. And that standard, it must be non-negotiable. Because when you become a man of standards, you no longer make decisions based on feelings. You make them based on alignment. Am I in integrity? Is this part of the mission? Does this feed my future? If the answer is no, it goes. If the answer is yes, you go all in. No halfway, no maybe. No explaining to people who will never get it. Because let's be clear, most people won't get it. They'll tell you to slow down. They'll call you obsessed. They'll say you've changed. And they're right. You have changed. You've stopped being the man who compromises. You've stopped entertaining mediocrity. You've stopped betraying yourself to keep others comfortable. You've become dangerous not because you threaten others, but because you can no longer be threatened by them. You don't flinch at criticism. You don't fold under pressure. You don't need agreement. You just move. And movement is everything, because nothing happens until you move. Clarity is meaningless without execution. Purpose is powerless without motion. So move. When you're tired, move. When you're doubted, move. When you're unseen, move. Because movement builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. And confidence built on earned trust in yourself, that is the most unstoppable force there is. You want to walk like the men you admire? Then earn your own respect first, not with words, not with potential, with evidence. Evidence that when you say you'll do something, you do it. Evidence that when life throws chaos at you, you stay level. Evidence that when others quit, you adapt. And adaptation, that's your secret weapon. Because the world won't care how strong you are when things are easy. It's when the pressure comes that your character is measured. You can lift weights in the gym, But can you lift your vision when everything around you is falling apart? You can say you're disciplined, but can you follow through when no one's watching and every emotion in your body begs you to quit? That's when the real ones rise. That's when the calm ones lead. That's when the ruthless ones cut through the noise and keep building. And while the weak search for comfort, you adapt. You evolve. You become what the world cannot define. You become so deeply in tune with your purpose that you don't need praise, permission, or proof. You know, and that knowing, that internal fire, it cannot be bought. It cannot be faked. It cannot be taken. It's yours. And that makes you free. Free from comparison. Free from approval. Free from the emotional chains that trap most men in cycles of mediocrity. You've broken the loop. You've chosen the long road, the lonely road, but the only road that leads to self-respect. And one day they'll ask you how you did it, how you stayed calm when everything was burning, how you stayed focused when everyone else drifted, how you built something so solid when everything around you was shaking. And all you'll say is this: I didn't flinch. Because you trained for this. You suffered for this. You bled for this. You earned this. You earned the right to walk in silence and still be heard. You earned the right to sit still and still lead. You earned the right to move without warning and shift the energy of an entire room. Because when the calm and ruthless move, the world listens. And that's the lesson: power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream. It doesn't chase. It commands through presence, through certainty, through action repeated so relentlessly that its momentum becomes undeniable. Think of the greats. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still journaled about controlling his temper, his ego, his impulses. Why? Because he understood that external conquest means nothing without internal dominion. Lincoln calm through war, Roosevelt ruthless through disease, Mandela unshaken through decades of isolation. They didn't lead by fear. They didn't dominate by screaming. They led with conviction. They endured with silence. They made decisions not with emotion but with vision. Vision that stretched beyond the noise of now. Vision that demanded something more from the present because it could already see the future. And that's the level you must rise to. Not reacting to your environment but shaping it. Not ruled by trends or moods or chaos, but rising above them like a mountain that doesn't notice the weather at its peak. Because the higher you climb, the more chaos you'll see below. But the higher you climb, the less any of it can touch you. So climb. Rise beyond the petty. Rise beyond the opinions. Rise beyond the urge to explain your fire to people still trying to find a spark. You owe them nothing, but you owe your future everything. And your future doesn't respond to noise. It responds to discipline. So sharpen it. Sharpen your words by speaking less. Sharpen your focus by removing distractions. Sharpen your presence by walking with intention. Sharpen your goals by eliminating all that doesn't serve them. Because everything that takes your time is either sharpening you or stealing from you. And you're no longer available for theft. Not of your energy, not of your vision, not of your peace. Your peace is now your property. Guarded, locked, untouchable. That's what happens when calm becomes your default. You stop chasing energy, you become it. You stop needing silence, you are it. And in that stillness, there is strategy. Because when the world moves too fast, the calm man sees what others miss. While they rush, he waits. While they react, he calculates. While they speak, he listens. And when he speaks, it's already too late for them to counter. That's the edge. That's the difference. That's why the world respects the calm, because they carry a weight the emotional cannot lift. But the calm man isn't passive. He's not soft. He's not gentle just for the sake of peace. No, he is kind by choice, but ruthless by nature. Because behind that still face is a man who knows what it cost him to get here. He buried his weakness. He silenced the noise. He endured the loneliness. He stood through the storms. And now he moves with authority. Not the kind given by title, the kind earned through inner war. And make no mistake, this is a war. Not a war with others, but with the part of you that wants to stay comfortable, the part of you that wants to be liked, the part of you that wants approval over alignment. You must kill that part daily. Because every day you don't, it grows louder. It becomes that voice that says, just this once, that excuse that whispers, You've earned a break, that weakness that dresses up as kindness, but is really just fear in disguise. You know the truth. You don't need ease. You need alignment. You don't need comfort. You need progress. And progress demands sacrifice. Sacrifice of comfort, sacrifice of distraction, sacrifice of temporary happiness for eternal pride. Pride that comes from knowing you didn't fold, that when it got hard, you kept moving, that when the world said slow down, you went all in. And the result, you became the kind of man others follow without asking why. Not because you asked them to, but because your example gives them permission to rise. Because in a world of chaos, the calm and ruthless are rare, and rarity creates value. Value creates gravity, and gravity draws the world to your orbit without force. This is how legacies are built, not in a single speech, not in a flash of brilliance, but in quiet, ruthless consistency. The grind that nobody sees, the decisions nobody applauds, the battles you fight in your mind and win in your life. And it's in those wins, those silent, brutal private victories, that you become the man who no longer flinches, no longer chases, no longer wavers. A man forged in silence, fueled by vision, feared by weakness, respected by the world not because he demanded it, but because he earned it.